The game's great as long as you skip all the dialogue, is a phrase I've been saying a lot lately, which is kind of odd because I love a good meaty narrative that I can sink my teeth into. I really enjoy some well-crafted dialogue, a nice character moment, witty banter, even an audio log, as long as I can listen to it while playing the game. Like, give me that story, baby. But naturally, to break up a game's missions or in between points of interest on a big expansive map, there's gonna be some silence. And those are some of my favorite gaming moments a lot of the time. They give me time to live in the world of a video game and to hear all the game has to say without a word. But there's a lot of games that aim to fill that dead air.
What happened to the city?
I'm not entirely sure, lad.
You don't want people getting bored after all, right? But what happens when those words become white noise? Or even worse, a distraction. This is how dialogue ruined a game. Or the strength of silence. Before I get into the video essay, just wanted to jump in here and remind you to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more video essays like this one. And if you'd like to financially support me in producing more of this content in the future, since it's really not cheap, I have a Ko-fi page linked in my description as well as the pinned comment, but more about that at the end of the video. I love the Steam Next Fest. There's always something new and surprising that I come across. It's how I found some of my favorite gaming experiences of the last few years. Super Adventure Hand, Jusant, Melatonin, and of course, the next coming of Jesus. So when I see a trailer for a Next Fest game I've never heard of, I'm ready for it to grab my attention. Some do, and others don't. But the trailer for Odd Meter's Indica definitely hooked me immediately. It was kinetic, frantic, jam-packed with personality. Those claustrophobic camera angles, the boldly anachronistic music choice, and I couldn't tell if it was a horror game or something completely different. It was as unique as it gets. Not to mention, the visual direction everything was veering into perplexed me. This was the first video game I'd seen with graphics akin to a Yorgos Lanthimos film. And as a big-time defender of The Lobster and Poor Things, I mean that as a huge compliment. If you haven't seen them, they're like Wes Anderson films for grown-ups, where the quirkiness actually has a purpose.
Am I not in this? Excuse me? I'm not in this.
So of course, I added it to my wish list. And waited. But what got me most excited to play this game was the trailer's dedication to the old film school adage, show, don't tell. The idea is that being shown something is always more impactful than being told something. So instead of telling your audience that a character is sad, you'd want to find a way to show them. Instead of saying your protagonist is in danger, show me. A picture is worth 1,000 words after all. It lets an audience feel like they're putting the pieces together, rather than being preached at. There's nothing that sucks emotion out of a moment more than unnecessary exposition.
Whatever! Initiating DEFCON protocol! Chaos Commander tag 047937097D!
Even in these video essays, I always try to show examples of what I'm talking about to more clearly illustrate the points I'm making. The reason environmental storytelling in games feels so rewarding is because it's the ultimate encapsulation of showing rather than telling. Set dressing or lighting can make such a huge difference to how we perceive the world we're meant to be inhabiting. A ruined monument implies so much about what used to be. The aftermath of an invasion carries a brutal weight. And observing unflinching violence from afar shows us the stark reality of how an ecosystem interacts. Whereas a dry note or item description is the epitome of opting for words over visuals. Fleshing out a world, sure, but in the least engaging way possible. Of course, there will almost always need to be some amount of telling in a game. After all, even in the most minimalist game, a player needs to be taught the controls and the rules of this new world. Even something as simple as Balatro needs to be explained before it becomes second nature. Listen, I just wanted an excuse to include Balatro again. Can I fit it into every video essay of 2024? Only one way to find out. A few weeks before Indica's release date, I got a key for the game from the publisher. I feverishly redeemed it and then waited like an hour for it to download. Listen, I have a ton of stuff on this computer. Streaming stuff, footage for these videos, this, all very important, of course. And also the game's 48.39 gigabytes. So, like, that's not small. The opening moments were not what I was expecting. I was quite literally dropped into this experience knowing nothing. And as I took control of this pixel art girl, my natural gamer instinct was to grab these shiny collectibles. Seeing my experience points going up the further I fell, I liked where this was going. And then... awesome! This game not only started by marrying two really unexpected elements, but also delivered on that whimsically unsettling vibe of the trailer. And these incongruous UI elements felt so retro, while the rest of the game's presentation was high-fidelity realism? It's definitely utilizing that Unreal Engine 4 to its fullest. After I took control of Indica, my first duty was to deliver this basket of vegetables to Sister Smaragda as punishment for the young nun's waywardness. But I took this time to rebelliously explore the monastery first, a prison of frigid silence and judgment. My footsteps crunching as I found a few collectibles. The sister could certainly wait while I earned more experience points, right? But once I'd had my fill of exploring, I fulfilled my vital duty and was immediately met with gratitude. And then, as further punishment for existing, I had to tediously transfer water from the monastery's well into this barrel. Oh my god. I can't run or anything. Oh no. Oh god. Okay. Okay. I can already tell this is gonna be super enticing. Yeah. This is gameplay. This is gameplay. Wait, that barrel is huge. How many of these are we gonna have to fill? There's no fucking way. Absolutely not. Are you fucking serious? One out of five? 5? We have to do that 5 times? Oh my god. This game really said, we are about to make you feel like this character. And like, hey, it's working. It is working. But Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Wow.
Useless labor is the basis of spiritual development.
You don't say. Oh my god. I feel like I've been doing this my entire life. Oh, we still have one more. I thought I was done. Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. I bet we don't even get a reward. It's just gonna be like them spitting in our face or some shit. Like, That is just the vibe I'm getting here. But this was the type of tedium that clearly had a purpose to it. Without saying a word, this actively told me everything I needed to know about Indica's time as a nun here. Goddamn, these bitches suck. Now, Animal Well is a completely different game. Different genre, tone, mood, everything. But it's a great example of how a game internalizes the show, don't tell mantra. The game's solo developer, Billy Basso, spent 7 years crafting this game in a custom engine. With that much work put into the game by this one-man band, you would think Basso would want to make the end product as widely appealing as possible. Maybe dumbing things down, spelling out certain things just to make sure he wouldn't scare off anyone. But Animal Well thrives in its strangeness and in its obtuse nature. It brings together these odd ideas in a really unexpected way. It's this mashup of chilling horror, interesting puzzles, and satisfying exploration that you could only get from a game like Animal Well. These genres and gameplay elements haven't really been placed in a blender before, let alone combined this smoothly. Aside from the prompts that pop up at the bottom of your screen, you're left to figure out everything for yourself. And even then, those prompts are vague at best. No dialogue to guide you or item descriptions to nudge you along. Once you boot up the game, these 4 flames are the closest thing you get to a main quest. Not to mention the tools you unlock, a staple of the Metroidvania genre, flipped on its head with these unconventional items and a lack of combat. Bubble wands, slinkies, yo-yos, and you're left to figure out how they work on your own. They're as much a puzzle as the puzzles themselves. And to make up for the echoing silence down here, the visuals say a lot. Telling a story with moody pixel art, haunting CRT aesthetics, and bold color palettes. Apparently, there is some underlying lore to explain why things are the way they are. But honestly, not every mystery needs an explanation. Well, except maybe the mystery of how this creature is not a ghost cat, but according to Billy himself, a ghost dog? Have you ever, seen a dog? The lack of hand-holding makes every discovery feel like an achievement, and its refusal to communicate or give you any verbal comfort drives home that eerie loneliness even more. As I made my way through this world, the mystery went deeper and deeper. Each thread I pulled at unraveled the tapestry of this game, revealing more and more what was actually going on here. This game had so many disparate ideas, but it confidently brought them together without a word. It's short, but packed with secrets and mysteries, and ingenious puzzles that pull me back in whenever I think I'm ready to finally uninstall it. As the early 2000s skate punk juggernauts of Sum 41 might say, all killer, no filler. All of this, the mystery, the goal, the true nature of my tools, the puzzles, the twists, the turns, all of this was communicated without a single word of dialogue. And that silence strengthens everything that makes this game brilliant. Indica says the most when no words are being spoken. When it lets the environmental storytelling do the hard work. But the walks from puzzle to puzzle are filled to the brim with dialogue.
Right? You can explain why you're doing it, build a string of logic.
If the soul didn't exist, all that remains would be your logical shit. How the fuck can one live without a soul? Humans haven't learned that yet.
Lines written to fill dead air, sometimes to the point of taking away from the environments themselves. Like, if I wasn't being talked at through this section, I may have noticed how absurd the nature of this pathway's construction was, or how unnaturally wayward this staircase is.
Reading someone else's letter is a greater sin than not delivering it.
Greater? How much greater?
Twice as much. I don't know.
Interesting. What about murder? Let us put that at 1,000 letters. That would mean that if a postman were to lose a sack full of letters, we'd have a murderer. Although, maybe there should be a bulk discount.
While these questions being posed are interesting ones, they do start to feel like filler. And in a game as short and mostly sweet as this one, filler stands out
Sorry.
even harder than it might in a longer experience. But when the puzzles, music, and almost everything about this 6-hour game are intentional, these moments of pointless philosophical debate must mean something, right? There has to be a point to it all, to the meandering monologues and dreary discussions. And listen, I know this is meant to be an interactive movie or walking simulator first and foremost, and experiences like those can incorporate this sort of dialogue in really engaging ways. But the games and movies that Indica may have been inspired by know when to let an audience breathe. Ask and you will be deceived was this game's marketing tagline, and after playing the game, I can definitely see why. I felt a little deceived by the trailer that showed non-stop frantic action and a focus on the supernatural. By the story that presented choices that weren't really choices at all. And by dialogue that tried so hard to be meaningful that it ended up
What?
meaning nothing at all. Some of these deceptions were interesting, actually, and added to that ice-cold antagonistic vibe the game had.
All right, nice try, lady, or whatever you are. I'm supposed to think you're a nun, but I know you're really some kind of big, ugly demon, so let's have it. Aha! I knew it! Big, ugly demon.
It set a great mood, but I'm still kind of asking, what was the point? What's the goal here? That there is no point? And that life is a series of random occurrences which can't be explained or organized by a faith system like religion? That looking for meaning is meaningless? Because I didn't need talking heads to tell me that. The experience system being delightfully useless told me that. The well sequence told me that. The repeating room puzzle told me that. The pixel art motorbike race told me that. The MacGuffin that was the miracle of the Coudettes told me that. In really elegant and clever ways, actually. It's silently memorable tableaus that buried themselves into my subconscious. Not this philosophy student mumbo-jumbo stringing together character moments that have no consequence on the story.
We killed it.
Dog deserved it. Spiders. Sinful.
There are no sinners among dogs. Only humans can sin.
It's almost like the devs didn't trust Indica's subtle strangeness and obtuse nature to do the heavy lifting. As if a lot of this stilted dialogue was added in fear that some players wouldn't get it, awkwardly wedged in. making these characters feel more like mouthpieces for different ideologies than, characters with realistic motivations or goals. And that's a shame, because Indica's silent moments are the ones that have the most to say. And don't get me wrong, I really loved those moments. This game's great, as long as you skip all the dialogue. One of the reasons I started my journey through higher education as an English literature major before landing on video editing was my fascination with the power of words. That, and I loved constructing analytical essays about the media I loved consuming. Oh hey, look at that. But after finding my passion for video editing, I learned there's an equal amount of power in silence. In a pause. In brevity. A game like Indica shines when it communicates in ways only a video game can, through interactivity, its bonkers soundtrack and UI, choices, or lack thereof, environmental storytelling. All these quirks have meaning, purpose, and flesh out the experience in their own way. But it's packed with pages and pages and pages and pages of dialogue, endless exposition, none of which feels natural, of debating the purpose of life, morality, spirituality, politics, thousands upon thousands of words, a cacophony of writing that goes nowhere. When many other games its length have shown, there's power in restraint. Did I fill the word count? I swear, I mostly really loved this game. I really appreciate it when developers take huge risks, even if they don't fully pay off, in my opinion. But I also realize that people are just going to assume I hated everything about it, because what is nuance, right? And speaking of, my friend Faux Retro is actually working on a video about exactly that, also heavily featuring Indica. And hey, if you like my content, you're gonna like his too. He's been featured on my channel before, and I've been featured on his. So at this point, if you're not following him already, listen, go fix that. Do it now. And speaking of shoutouts, thank you so much for all of the love and support that I've been receiving recently here on this channel. It does not go unnoticed, and it is kind of insane. So thank you. But hey, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you got this far and you really had a good time, please click that like button. I know, but it really does help the video out a lot. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, which now would mean more than ever, because as of January, I am doing creator stuff full time here and over on my Twitch. It's just like a really, I don't know. Jesus. Oh, my heat. Oh, fucking hell. And I'm so thankful to everyone who has been making that possible. Thank you. And speaking of, thank you to Rain and Kyle from Couchbugs, Oyster Milk, Dear Papaya, Voxamandius, Crazy Tyndall, Paula, Nightmare God, One's the Loneliest, John Lax, Sarah, Bean Fiello, Veltwalker, Lionbite, Max Wattage, Comrade Quest, Robertson, and Cap Danvers. Those are my monthly supporters over on my Ko-fi page, and if you don't know what Ko-fi is, it's kind of like Patreon, but a whole lot cooler, in my opinion. If you want to help support this content financially, you can do that over there by becoming a monthly supporter for as little as $4 a month, where you can get behind-the-scenes content, sneak peeks at future video essays, and shoutouts at the end here. Plus, I'm also uploading my uncensored, uncut, and ad-free versions of these video essays, but you can also leave a one-time donation if you want to. And another really cool way that you can help support is by checking out the description down below, because I always include links to every game that I mention in my video essays here. So if you use those links to purchase a game, I get a little bit of a commission from that at no extra cost to you, and part of that also goes to trans charities, which is really cool. So it's a win-win-win. Anyway, what else? Oh yeah.
Share the video.